Bermuda Media presents 25 Years of Tourism as seen through the lens of the Bermuda Channel. This program is brought to you through the generous sponsorship of Bacardi International, Goslings, the Swizzle Inn, Bermuda Cablevision, and Digicel.
Since its discovery in the early 16th century, Bermuda has enjoyed a rich history of adventure, industry, and politics. And at the core of it all has been our island's ability to adapt and change with the times. And that resilience is still with us today. For the past 25 years, Bermuda Media has recorded the island's continuing evolution through the Bermuda Channel. Established in 1987, its video archives are filled with thousands of hours of incredible footage from the 1980s, 1990s, and today. Sadly, videotape doesn't last forever. In fact, we don't even use it to record shows like this. So this program was produced to preserve those memories and to celebrate the advances our island has experienced in just a quarter of a century. We start by taking a look at Bermuda's hotel industry 25 years ago.
The 1960s, 1970s, and 1980s were in some respects the golden age of Bermuda tourism, thanks in part to advances in air travel. Let's start by taking a look at some of the larger hotels that made Bermuda's tourism industry so successful 25 years ago.
CHF had 3 hotels in Bermuda starting in the 60s actually. The Bermudiana, which was in the place that the Ace and XL buildings stand today. The Harmony Hall, which is still there but not used as a hotel, and the Belmont, which still has its golf course, but of course now is a residential development. And it was exciting. The 3 properties complemented each other, Belmont with its golf course, the Harmony Hall with its small, intimate ambience, and the Bermudiana was a downtown hotel which catered to businessmen and tourists alike. The 3 were connected by a bus service, and we also had a beach club on the South Shore. The old Atlantic Beach Club was our facility there, where people from all 3 properties could go to the beach, so it was fun. We had a dine-around program, so you could dine at each property if you got tired of your own property. And I think when the 3 properties were put together, they were the quintessential Bermudian vacation all rolled into one.
The Sonesta Hotel and Resort was opened in 1961. It was opened as a 200-room resort, and over the years it was extended up until the late 80s. It was extended to a full 400-room resort and a convention center. It originally, if people will remember back, it was the Carlton Beach Hotel, but in later years the Sonneborn family. The father was named Sonny and his wife was named Esther, and they changed the name to Sonesta, which is an amalgamation of those 2 names. During our heyday, we had approximately 380, 400 staff. We had a full entertainment center. Obviously, I think most Bermudians will remember all of the Bermuda shows that took place down there. Massive honeymoon business and very, very much family. We had a convention center. We had about 6,000 square feet in convention space, so we were able to cater to conventions up to maybe 300 or 400 people, which was very, very good for the hotel. Probably one of the first full-service spas. It was opened by Mike Turner at Beau Salon, and that was, especially as we got into the convention business, that got to be a very important amenity for us. Like, as I said, it was a full service. We had all treatment rooms and the jacuzzis, the scrub room. It was incredibly successful for us. You know, sitting there on that peninsula, I mean, our guests used to walk in a hotel and they would walk up on the South Lawn and look out there and they would just be awestruck. We had the 3 beaches, Cinque Bay and the Cross Bay and Boat Bay. And we had a big repeat guest factor, and we got to know them all very well. And they got to know us.
Marriott was actually the 2nd largest resort in the island, and the only resort that had an 18-hole golf course connected to it. One of the unique things about this resort, it had the largest amenities of meeting space and the largest amenities or venues to do different venues for customers. It consists of 3 sections. The main resort, which was the older building, it consists of a 200-room resort. And then we added on the Harbour View, and that had about 122 with 2 presidential suites there. We had the beach club, which we're now presently on. Then we also had the golf club area. and the golf club had at approximately about 32 rooms added onto it. Inside the resort was so magnificent. Remember, we were the first to bring in sushi and the Mikado's restaurant. Bayview Lounge, we had afternoon tea each day. We were the first to do the full buffet with cutfish and potatoes. Of course, Princess has taken over from that process. We wanted to make Marriott Castle Harbour in Bermuda a resort for everybody, and that was a unique process.
The Hotel Bermudians, usually referred to as the Old Club Med, was originally a Holiday Inn built in 1973. It was taken over by Lowe's in 1981 and then Club Med in 1985. 2 years later, Hurricane Emily caused extensive damage to the hotel, and it lay derelict for 20 years. It was imploded in 2008. Bermuda's hotel industry may have slowed since its late 20th century golden age, but tourism continues to be one of our island's most important industries. Landmark properties like the Fairmont Southampton, the Hamilton Princess, and Grotto Bay, plus exciting plans for some fabulous new hotels, mean a bright future ahead.
From Bermuda's spectacular pink sand beaches and world-class golf courses to its well-preserved historical sites and museums, our island has always had an amazing array of attractions and activities.
Today, Dolphin Quest is one of the island's most popular attractions, offering dolphin encounters in the Keep at Dockyard. But they were originally here at the Southampton Fairmont, where a special lagoon was created just off the beach. But Dolphin Quest wasn't Bermuda's first dolphin experience. There used to be a very entertaining dolphin show at Blue Hole Hill in Bailey's Bay. Bailey's Bay was a popular tourist destination in its own right, with a pottery and the original Bermuda Perfumery, both located here. The magnificent crystal caves are still here, of course, as is the world-famous Swizzle Inn.
Swizzle Inn was established in 1932. The building itself dates back to the 17th century, and it was started by the Outerbridge family, who also invented the rum swizzle on location here, which is a combination of Gosling's rums and different fruit juices. In 1962, my mom and dad took it over and built the business up to what it is today. And over the years, it's changed its look a little bit. We used to have cycles all parked out front, and the horse and carriages used to pull out there with a big cedar tree in the front. And we also didn't have the second floor operational. We lived upstairs till I was 17. And then in 1990, I took over the reins and expanded to the second floor, opened up. And we've also opened a second location on the South Shore in Warwick, and it's done really well. I'm happy and I'm very proud of what my parents did to build the business up, and I'm also very proud of the fact that we've made Swizzle the success it is now.
What is now known as the Neptune Cinema and Dockyard was originally built for an historical multi-image slideshow called Attack on Washington. Not to be outdone, St. George's developed something similar at the other end of the island, the Bermuda Journey, that played at the Town Hall on King's Square. The Enterprise Submarine was one of the most ambitious tourist adventures ever created for Bermuda. It was 65 feet in length and could dive to a depth of 250 feet, carrying 50 passengers to explore the coral reefs and marine life close up.
I built it in Scotland, in Aberdeen, actually it was Edinburgh. And with all the support equipment and the duty and the freight, and everything landed and up and running, was about 3.5 million, maybe a little more. The passengers loved it. I mean, whatever happened, it was really serious stuff. It was very, very big down below. We had 6 foot 1 inch of headroom, which is a lot in a submarine. Big windows, nice little individual seats, 2 per window. The pilot's console had a huge dome, clear dome in the front and one in the back. So it really felt very, very high-tech back for 1988. The dive site was fantastic. They had 3 wrecks. It's about 30 feet of water, which is enough. Beautiful situation, but it was just logistically very, very difficult to sustain.
With virtually no natural resources on the island, Bermuda has always had to be, well, resourceful about developing island-based products for export. And if there's anything the last 25 years have taught us, is that our hometown products have excellent staying power. So let's take a brief look at two legendary Bermudian products that we showcased back in the 1980s. Products that continue to be successfully sold worldwide.
The Gosling family arrived in Bermuda in 1806. Formulation of their iconic rum blends began in 1860, and over the years, their Black Seal rum has become their flagship recipe. A family business for more than 2 centuries, Gosling stands as the only company that blends and bottles its products right here in Bermuda, and it's become the largest exporter of any Bermuda-made product. Back in the 1980s, we spent some time talking with Malcolm Lloyd Gosling, a 7th-generation member of the family, who at the time served as the company's president and CEO.
It's a smooth, full-flavored rum that's blended and bottled right here in Bermuda to an old family recipe. Gosling's is the only true Bermuda black rum. Gosling's Black Seal is one of the most versatile drinks in the world. You can mix it with almost anything: Coke, ginger ale, tonic. But the favorite drink in Bermuda is the dark and stormy. That's Gosling's Black Seal rum and ginger beer.
Well, 25 years ago, when that interview was conducted with my dad, he had started the export business. Just shortly before that, we were exporting only Black Seal rum 80 proof, and primarily to a few distributors in the northeast of the USA. It was my personal passion to try and take that and build on what he had started with the export business. I saw the reaction from the yachtsmen and the visitors that we had have come to Bermuda when they tried the Gosling's Black Seal rum and the dark and stormy, and we knew that it would work over there. It was just going to take a little bit of time. We were only selling the Gosling's Black Seal rum 80 proof. We had a small importer in New York that then distributed to a few wholesalers in the New England states. But that's pretty well lit. That's about as far as we had got 25 years ago. Nowadays, we're in all 50 US states. We're in all Canadian provinces but one. We're doing very well in the UK, in Germany, in Italy, France, Holland. We're available now in China, both Beijing and Shanghai, and Australia and New Zealand. So it's expanded quite a bit. So that's changed quite a bit since that interview. The one thing that hasn't changed, though, is the fact that Black Seal rum is still a closely guarded family secret when it comes down to the blend.
Another legendary Bermuda product is Outerbridge's original sherry pepper sauce, created by Yeaton Outerbridge in 1965. We interviewed Mr. Outerbridge himself in the 1980s, and he gave us some serving tips on the best ways to enjoy what's been called the authentic taste of Bermuda.
As you travel around the island, you'll notice that most of the restaurants offer you sherry pepper sauce, Outerbridge's originally, hopefully. You use it with discretion, a bit in the chowder. If you want it a little hotter, ask your waiter to bring it back and put a little bit more in, but don't use it all at once. Use it with discretion. It's used in all the fish chowders served around Bermuda. There's a little recipe booklet that travels along with it that has a recipe for fish chowder. So when you get home, you can make your own fish chowder and take a bottle of Outerbridge's sherry peppers back to the States with you. Let's see how she tastes.
Excellent.
Good gracious, girl.
Today, Outerbridge Peppers has grown into a full line of gourmet condiments, sauces, rubs and marinades, jellies, and even rum sizzle mix.
The Bermuda Channel often finds itself rubbing elbows with VIPs, including executives, celebrities, and politicians. Our cameras have been invited to interview several governors and have also caught a rare glimpse inside the grandest mansion in all of Bermuda.
Yes, I'll try and tell you something about the duties of the governor. They're not very easily comparable with the job of a governor in a state of the United States. There is a twofold side of it, clearly, as you say, the official and the non-official. Official side representing the Queen and the British government in Bermuda. I have a responsibility to convey information, views, both ways. I have a responsibility to discharge certain aspects of governmental responsibility in Bermuda under the Constitution, external affairs, defense and internal security. There is a ceremonial aspect of it, rather fun, and I think suits the Bermudian character, and there's always interest to those who come here, and that takes place from time to time.
Sir John Swan also talked with us during this time, discussing the success of the island during his term as Premier.
Welcome to our visitors watching the Bermuda Channel. We are delighted to have you with us. In my years as Premier, I've had the good fortune to meet many of the world's great leaders, including Prime Minister Thatcher of Britain and President Ronald Reagan of the United States. Bermuda considers itself blessed that it has no unemployment, no poverty, no budget deficit, and no income tax.
How did it all turn out so well?
Hard work and determination by successive generations of Bermudians to be self-sufficient.
And Dr. David Saul, finance minister at the time, was equally as proud of his government's economic record.
Bermuda, over the last 400 years of our history, has reached a very highly sophisticated and enviable position in the business world. We have, over these 400 years, managed to pass our own laws, mint our own money, and, we are proud to say, having never borrowed a penny from anyone. We have a balanced budget every year and no income tax. Strange as it may seem and hard to believe, we do manage to balance the budget with no income tax, and on top of that, we have no unemployment.
For a very small island, people are always amazed at the impressive quality and diversity of items found in our upscale boutiques and specialty shops. And while Bermuda's retail industry continues to thrive, things have changed a bit since the 1980s. Back then, shopping on Front Street was like shopping on Rodeo Drive or New York's Fifth Avenue. A retail experience like none other, featuring the world's most prestigious luxury brands.
Today, A.S. Cooper's on Front Street may look the same as it did years ago, but it's been totally rebuilt in recent years to incorporate several floors of office space above the 3 floors of retail. The original facade was retained, including the cedar work and the famous Wedgwood front door handles. But other aspects of Front Street's landscape have changed, almost beyond recognition. There were 2 regular cruise ships right alongside, the Atlantic and the Homeric. And many retail stores have come and gone. Constable's was a slightly eccentric shop. Bearing in mind our climate, they sold Icelandic woolens. The Bermuda Railway Company was very successful in its day, but like the railway, it eventually went out of business, possibly due to its wacky fashions. Banana's t-shirt shops were recognizable for their distinctive green, yellow, and pink colors. And Pen Boss offered bus tours of the island, departing right outside their Front Street location. Some other shops to have disappeared from Front Street include Camilla's Boutique, Esprit Sportswear, Trader's Gate, Perfume Shop, Burroughs Lightbourne, Firth's Liquors, and Vera B. Card. Most famous of all was Trimmingham's, known not only as a traditional department store for locals, but a top stop for visitors until it closed in 2005.
We do feel a responsibility to continue the business as our forebears would have expected.
I remember as a child being told the golden rule: carry the widest selection of the finest merchandise and give good value for money. It was true in 1842, and it is just as true today. If you don't believe me, come and take a look for yourself.
It was a very special department store. It started in 1842, opened its doors, so lots of tradition, old store, run by the family the whole time. There was a Mr. Trimmingham on the floor that meted and greeted people, but actually did the work. Eldon Trimmingham was the menswear buyer for years and years and years. Tom Trimmingham ran the warehouse. Andrew Trimmingham did the window displays and oversaw all of that. And at times there were 3 generations of Trimminghams in there. It's hard to pinpoint what made it so special, but I think a couple of things. One, the building itself. It was a lovely building. It was an old building, kind of what I think people expected to see here in Bermuda, that old classical style, a little bit shabby, you know, but very pretty. Beautiful cedar work throughout. Had this magnificent cedar staircase. So just the physical plant itself was very special. The other things that made it special, I think really I'd have to say, the breadth and depth of merchandise that was available there for a small store by, you know, North American standards or UK standards or any city standards. It was a small store, but it had amazing merchandise.
Art and artists have always played an important role in Bermuda's history and culture. From the military artists of the 1800s to world-renowned painters like Andrew Wyeth, Georgia O'Keeffe, and Winslow Homer, who were all inspired by the beauty of the island. The 1980s saw Bermuda's art scene alive and well and supported numerous successful art galleries.
Where this coffee shop now stands on the corner of King and Reed Streets was the Windjammer Gallery, owned and operated by Susan Curtis. Before Max Rhee, which eventually became Markel, built their headquarters here on Pitts Bay Road, Jay Bluck had the Heritage House. Jay went on to become the mayor of Hamilton and was also instrumental in launching the Bermuda National Gallery, which opened in 1992. One art gallery that not only survived but thrived is Masterworks. Soon after its launch in 1987, we interviewed Tom Butterfield in one small room on Front Street, from where he began his dream to repatriate paintings of Bermuda by world-renowned artists.
Homer came here twice, in 1900 and 1901, and he painted about 20 works in watercolor only. And of them, we know where they all are, and he was the catalyst that sent a number of other famous painters here. Georgia O'Keeffe, Charles Demuth, Andrew Wyeth, Marsden Hartley, and a Frenchman, Albert Glaise. And the interesting thing about Glaise is that he was Cubist and a friend of Picasso, came over to visit his friends in New York, only to find that Demuth and Hartley were here in Bermuda. So he came down here looking for them and did some sketches as well. But all these famous people took their works obviously back home with them, and they've been scattered around the world. But they are available to us, and we are slowly repatriating them here in Bermuda.
Masterworks Museum of Bermuda Art continues to this day, committed to Bermuda-inspired art and to attract, inspire, and develop artists, both in Bermuda and abroad. Recently, Tom Butterfield was kind enough to sit down with us once more to talk about how Masterworks found its first home.
The first room was the result of Henry Vesey, who was then alive, realizing that we needed some sort of a small little home. And the concept of what we were doing was what I thought was pretty straightforward. We needed to launch into sort of an awareness of building on a permanent basis a collection of Bermuda-related artwork. And so that we could enjoy it both as Bermudians or visitors and have it there 365 days of the year. So when we had no home, Henry very kindly said, I've got this small little space. I mean, it's about the size of this room, this little library that we're sitting in now. And we started off with, I think there were about 60 works then. You and I would not be engaging in this conversation and sitting here if it weren't for the return of the Winslow Homer by a private family here in Bermuda in 1992. We were 5 years old. We bring back the Winslow Homer, and that really changed the course of our life, the concept of what we were doing, the credence behind this notion, and it meant that we had to get really pretty serious about things.
Thanks to the efforts of people like Tom Butterfield, the arts have continued to flourish here in Bermuda, and over the past 25 years have seen national, historical, and local galleries strengthen and prosper. Entertainment and tourism go hand in hand, And throughout Bermuda's golden age of tourism, residents and visitors alike can count on a variety of venues and performances on any given night. Musician-comedian Gene Steed remains an iconic part of that entertainment scene, his talents earning him the title of Bermuda's natural resource.
Hi there. Here in the Gazebo Lounge, we have lots of talent, Bermudian talent, just waiting to make you happy. So make your reservations and come on down and see the shows. There's a different show 6 nights a week. And remember, it's lots of Bermudian talent just waiting to make you happy while you're having your vacation right here in Bermuda. Did you stay down St. George's Town, Caroline? Did you stay down St. George's Town, Caroline?
25 years ago. Wow, that was great, because I was only one show of many. And in this room here, was it 25 years ago that Greg Thompson was here? He had quite an effect on Bermuda because they would send people to fill this room from the ships. My show was here at least twice a week. And at that time, all the hotels had shows. So my show would be here 2 or 3 times a week, and then at Hamilton 2 or 3 times a week. And that consisted of, you know, a 3-piece band, backup group, and it was wonderful. Bermuda had lots of entertainment. And then this hotel, this was the main place. Everybody waited to get to the Southampton Princess in the main room there. We had big name acts come in. Phyllis Diller came in. You know, Frankie Lane came in. And you name them, they came to Bermuda and they came to this place.
Gene Steed headlined several major Bermuda-themed shows produced by impresario Greg Thompson. But what Greg Thompson was best known for was his critically acclaimed Follies Las Vegas-style shows that played all summer long at the Southampton Princess.
When we first brought the Follies to Bermuda in the late 70s and 80s, the first thing that happened is our showgirls, our Follies girls, were arrested downtown for walking around in shorts. That was the best publicity we could ever have. The place was packed after that. And it was a great time for the shows because the cruise ships wouldn't allow shows on board when the ship was in port. So everyone had to come off the ship, have dinner, and then they'd go to the Southampton or the Hamilton Princess and have a show. So it was a terrific time for us. We had 3 shows going at one time in Bermuda for a while. We had the cabaret shows at the Hamilton Princess, and then we had the dinner show with Hubert Smith and the Bermudian dancers called Bermuda's Another World up at Southampton. And then, of course, the Follies late night at Southampton. So it was a great time. We had a terrific time working in Bermuda, and maybe someday we'll get a chance to do it again.
Other entertainment options at that time included a costume pirate show with limbo dancing at Hawkins Island and a starlit cruise on the Looking Glass with dinner at the Somerset Village Inn.
We hope you've enjoyed our look back to a Bermuda that on one hand existed not too long ago, but on the other seems like a world away. You know, a lot of value could be found in reminiscing about the way life was 25 years ago. It helps us remember things we might have lost along the way, but it also reminds us how very far we've come as a vibrant island community. So for everyone here at the Bermuda Channel, thanks for joining us. We look forward to documenting the amazing future that awaits this island paradise over the next 25 years and beyond.